All right, man, we're back. It's been a couple of weeks. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Good to be back. Wish it was a better event, but we're back.
Yeah, this is as bad as a 2 week period you're going to get. This might be the worst 2 week period during the meat of the season. As what did it show? There's only 3 players playing this week at the top 50,
Yeah,
or is
right.
it top 60?
I think Noren is 49. I think is what I saw. Right. He's the third highest ranked player in this field.
That's crazy that Norman is still 49.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything for like two
I,
years.
I think it's all from DP World Tour stuff. I don't think he's done much on the PGA Tour recently.
So we're going to talk nothing about what happened yesterday or the last few days because I watched Bupkis. And it's funny, of course, because you had, what was it, Hardy and who?
Hardy and Riley. Who, like 3 weeks ago, I bet him and I said, I think
you
this
bet Riley.
Davis Riley, yeah. That was at, I think, Valero, where he shot like plus 16. So that totally had me off him. I bet last week's event. I didn't watch much of it either, but I did bet it. But I did not bet Davis Riley, Nick Hardy, probably because I bet him 3 weeks ago or whatever, and he was.
Well, they were probably like 75-1.
Yeah, they were around, I think, 60-1 is what I saw.
Yeah. So. Because Cantlay, they were the favorites, right?
They were the big favorites.
Was it Cantlay and Schauffele?
Cantlay and Schauffele,
yeah. Well, I'm sure they talked all 4 days about what a great tournament it is and how much fun it is, and the fans just love it. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so we've looked, and you've got the, I guess, one indicator of how relevant the tournament is there is no one and done. And Mexico does have a one and done, but this is going to be the toughest.
Yep.
Because you have to, because there are going to be, I don't know how many, but there will be some people that will take Rahm, and there will be some people that will take Finau, and I completely understand it. Matter of fact, if I'm doing really well,
yep,
I might just take Rahm, and just, hey, I'm not going to screw around with it. I've got 4 wins on the season. I'm like already in the top 20. Sure, I'll take Rahm this week, who's a little bit less than 3-1 now.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that in a while.
No, not since Rahm at this event last year. I think he was pretty close to that. Yeah, it was I don't think the field was as weak, but it was a weak.
Well, he
field.
wasn't as good last year, though. He was not playing anywhere near as good and he almost blew it last year too. It was Finau who came on strong, right?
Yes, I think Finau came second.
I think Finau really made a charge last year. And we'll see how it goes this year because Finau and Rahm are back. Again, we mentioned Noren's in there, and we have a bunch of other long shots to talk about. Mm-hmm. PGA's coming up soon, thank goodness, but next week is Wells Fargo, and that's a good one. And you would think that with a couple of weeks off by most players that – because what is Wells Fargo considered?
Wells Fargo is an elevated event.
It is an elevated. Okay, so as well it should be.
You're going to see everyone next week.
Okay, man. Why? I mean, if you're someone like Patrick Cantlay, why would you have played last week? Don't you need some time? I mean, I know he's not playing this week, but it's like, damn, man, that's 2 weeks off right around this time. You would have thought would be really good. To take
defending champ, you gotta defend your Zurich championship.
He was the winner last year. Okay.
Yeah. Him and Xander won last year, so they had to defend.
All right. Anyway, okay. So, one and done. Yes. Well, taking a look, of course, our picks you can see the picks on the scroll. So let's see. I haven't even thought about it yet.
Yeah.
I would have to. Obviously think about the top 2 players on my list, which are Wyndham Clark and Patrick Rogers. Now, Wyndham Clark is the only thing that I'm thinking about Wyndham Clark because I'm somebody. I mean, I'm just completely shut out with the one and dones this year. Between NASCAR getting screwed every week, like yesterday in NASCAR, Like I should have had like 5 NASCAR wins this year, and it's just I'm so upset about that. And then golf has been tough for me this year. Again, a lot of second places and top 5s, so I'm really just it's been one of those years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have to take a little bit of a chance. If I go with Wyndham Clark, don't you think he's going to wind up being probably one of the top guys once you get past anybody even considering Rahm or Finau? And I can't imagine most people are going to take Rahm, and therefore I'm not even sure how many people would take Finau.
Yeah, I tend to be bad at predicting how popular guys are going to be. Like my guess would be Finau is going to be the most popular pick. I could be way off. Because I think most people are going to say I don't want to use Rahm because the purse is so small. I mean, all these non-elevated events have small purses. This is the second smallest purse of the entire year. It's even like $500,000 less than some of these other non-elevated events. So it's tough to burn Rahm here for me. I think Finau is going to be popular. Then I think Clark. I think Gary Woodland is going to be pretty popular. That's who I'm probably leaning towards at this point. I might use Finau in the one because I have the two. One of them's doing much better than the other one. One of them I'm right near the money.
So you
And
might
that
you might put Finau in that
I might
one.
use Finau in that one. And I might go Woodland in the one where I need to get a bit different.
So you think that if we're just talking about the players, I don't know, we're guessing here, but we're just talking about the players that you think are going to be oh yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, Rahm, Finau, Wyndham Clark,
Yep.
Gary Woodland, and that's it. You think it's just those 4? And everybody else is just, who knows? It's going to be a crapshoot.
That's right. Yeah, I think Finau, Clark, and Woodland will be the 3 most popular. Rogers will probably get some ownership too, I would guess. Then after that, who knows?
Yeah, I wonder if this is one of those weeks to just roll the dice.
Højgaard's not a bad pick. He was awesome at the Zurich last week. I can't remember who his partner was, but I saw a stat where they were kind of like comparing the teams that had the biggest discrepancies. Like this guy played well, this guy played horribly. Højgaard was awesome, and his partner played really poorly, so they didn't really contend. But Nikolai is coming in good form, it seems like.
Yeah, I took him in Texas a couple of weeks ago, and then I think the week after, it's when he played in that Punta Cana and finished second.
Yep.
And I was seriously thinking of taking him this week, but I was like, well, I don't know, man. The odds, he was at 25-1 at that point. Like,
right.
That's pretty low.
Yep. Yeah.
I think I'd rather go with some more long shots, but yeah. And if I'm thinking about taking Nikolai, I could always, and I'm just talking about if I'm talking about wagering as opposed to, of course, one and dones, then I might just say, let's see what kind of a start he gets off to.
Yep.
Because with Rahm in the picture and Finau in the picture, most of these players, unless they shoot a 61, most of these players, even if they have a pretty decent round, the odds are still going to be pretty decent because Rahm and Finau are there taking all the money.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you're not in a rush.
Yep.
Unless, of course, again, it all depends. But we got a lot of these other players. I'm shocked that Steven Yeager's 35-1.
Me too.
I don't know what that's about. Maverick McNeely, who's done nothing, is 35-1, but that's all name recognition.
Yep.
So yeah, it's even Bo Hostler's 40-1.
He's coming off a good week. They were in the mix for a while.
Oh man.
But yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeager's actually 14th in my rankings this week, so he makes a little sense where he is. McNeely and Hostler are way down my list.
Okay, so let's get into the picks. And yeah, some people might go, well, look, the Rahm's odds, a little under 3-1. It's crazy, but let's understand this. I know you do, but let's understand anybody who may not. If Jon Rahm was 12-1 to begin the event and ended the first day in the top 2 or 3, maybe even led, he'd be 2-1, 3-1. So you're not even buying. So it's not like these odds aren't there. All you have to do is look on a weekly basis. If you're a name player, if you get off to a good start, or if you've got the lead, your odds are automatic. You're already down to 2 to 3 to 1 in live betting for round 2.
Yep.
So so what I'm saying is I wouldn't look at that if you really like Rahm, but are like, I mean, because I know how you are, and I'm even that way myself. I'm not taking these guys at 2 or 3 to 1. I never even used to take Tiger at 2 or 3 to 1.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. But I would not blame anybody that thought, hey, I think Rahm's going to win. Should I wager on that? Hey, man, if you put 100 down, you're making 300. Sure, if you think it's going to win, why not do it?
Yep.
And
I'm not betting Rahm. Just I don't make golf outrights for 3 to 1.
I know
is now, but I actually think it's a fair number, and I like datagolf.com as a website, and they have a pre-tournament prediction model where they'll price and say what each guy's fair price should be. They have Rahm's fair price at 3 plus 302, so basically 3 to 1.
Yeah.
So he's kind of priced where he should be. So I mean, if you want to just make that your card for the week, I'm betting Jon Rahm, and that's it. I mean, it's probably not a bad move.
So Finau at 7 to 1 now, as you mentioned, second last year. He's got 8 top 35s in his last 8, and this is, by the way, this is full field strokes play events this year, but just 1 top 10.
Yep,
and that was the 9th at Farmers Insurance. So it's not been that good of a year for Tony Finau, but he's playing good enough in a field like this that you would think that maybe this is the week that Tony Finau gets a victory. So,
yeah, I don't know what to read into the fact that he hasn't had any awesome tournaments. He's just kind of been steady Eddie, a bunch of top 20-ish finishes. I don't know what to read into that. By the way, Data Golf has Finau's fair price at 9 to 1. So I mean, you're only giving up a little bit there. So I mean, he's kind of priced where he should be as well.
Okay, I'm gonna put the stats up. Put your stats up here for a second. So let's remove Jared's mug, and you can see his top 10 driving distance the last 12 months, top 10 in proximity from 200 plus yards the last 12 months. So Jared, tell me why you decided to go with these 2 stats.
Yeah, we should talk about the course a little bit. I mean, last year was the first year they played here, but so it's a par 71 and it's over 7,400 yards. Actually, it was the 6th longest course on tour last year. It also has the 6th widest fairways on tour. So it's just a long.
It's a bomber's course.
It's a bomber's paradise. And you look at the leaderboard last year, that played out. So
Cameron Champ type of golf course.
Exactly. If Champ was playing decently, I probably would have bet him, but he's not.
That still doesn't. But Cameron Champ, that won't mean anything. He'll still go out there and win.
Yeah, true. He could come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I looked at driving distance as part of my model this week, and I looked at that proximity from 200 plus. 42% of approach shots last year came from 200 plus yards at this course. The tour average is 23%.
Wow.
It's almost double. So I really wanted to look at who is best on those long approach shots.
All right. And so, your picks, how many were on the stats?
I think just Woodland, right?
Yes. Okay.
It's interesting. There are 3 players that show up in the top 10 in both of these, driving distance and proximity. One is Jon Rahm. No surprise there. 2 is Wyndham Clark, who I know you bet.
I have him.
And then 3 is Luke List, who I strongly considered, but he's not coming in the best of form, so I didn't quite get to him. But it's a good course for him.
Yeah, that's to say the least. Luke List, 4 missed cuts at his last 5.
Yep.
So that's not good. Bramlett, if he was playing like he was earlier in the year, I think this would be it still might be a good week for him, because this is the kind of week and the kind of field that sometimes it just doesn't matter how you're playing. All you have to do is play well for 1 week. So Bramlett was somebody that we thought, hey, maybe he's close to winning, but then he just fell apart. Okay, let's talk about the next grouping, and these are all the other guys basically. But as we mentioned, Wyndham Clark is 18-1, Woodland 25-1. Now the reason I went with Clark, and by the way, I did know, because I did record the final round, and so I turned it on. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that because I record; it automatically records. So I had no idea what was going on, and I just put the recording on to see what was going on, who was leading when the round began, and I saw that Clark was leading with his. Who was he playing with?
Hostler.
Okay, so then I'm doing my research, and I'm going, oh, you know what? I hope he doesn't win, because he's really hot right now, and the fact he's playing well in this one. If he doesn't win, I'm probably going to take him. Now I don't like the fact that he's 18-1 in an event on a PGA Tour, but he has 7 straight top 35s, and again, I'm not talking about match play or partners. So 7 straight top 35s, 3 top 10s, 1 top 5. He did play here last year, didn't play all that well. At least he made the cut, so he knows the golf course. So yeah, if you're gonna take Wyndham Clark, this is not a bad week to take him. You just have to deal with the odds.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't quite get to him at 18-1, but he deserves to be the third favorite in this field. My model actually has him second this week, ahead of Tony Finau.
Wow.
So he's like you said, he's playing really well, and this is a good course for him. He's a long hitter,
and he's never won. So
never won.
He's getting ready for a win. This would be a great time to do it. Gary Woodland, and I was thinking about him as well.
Yep.
2 top 15s in his last 6, so he's starting to get something going. 9th at Genesis, that was a while ago, but just a few weeks ago, 14th at the Masters. He played with Koepka the first few rounds, and he was 24th here last year. Yep. So this is definitely going to tell us a lot about whether Gary Woodland is going to be able to put a season going, because he still is not in a good place, but at least he's starting a little bit. He's starting to get a little bit better.
Yeah, that was his best Masters finish ever, and he's just had a nice season overall, a bounce back season. I think he is a guy that has a chance to win this year, and this is obviously as good a spot as he can ask for. He didn't quite make the top 10 in driving distance over the last 11 months. He's 11th in driving distance in this field over the last year, and as you saw on that list, Woodland is first in this field in proximity from 200 plus yards. So he's good on the long iron shots. And like I said, he's playing well. So over the last 16 months in this field, he's 16th best in the field in strokes gained total. That includes he's the best in this field off the tee, the 15th best on approach, 76th putting. Typical Gary Woodland hasn't been putting well, but the ball striking has been there. So if he can just putt average, I think in this field he has a shot to compete.
Rogers and Hojgaard are 28-1. Now Nikolai, he's got 5 top 15s in his last 8. That's very impressive. Not all on the PGA Tour. He had the second at Punta Cana. We talked about that. He's got 2 Euro wins over the last few years. And when I've watched Euro events, they've talked very highly about him and his brother. And you do get the feeling that these are kids to keep an eye on, that they're going to be heading to the PGA Tour. Now, I'm not sure what his status is yet. Because I think he's still a Euro guy, so I don't think he's a full-time PGA guy yet. But we are starting to see him a little bit more, and maybe we're seeing him in the Punta Canas, the Mexicos, the fields where they can offer an invite to someone like him. But he's a talented player in a field like this.
Yep.
So keep an eye on him. And then I had Rogers as my second pick, and Rogers, I really thought he was going to win in Texas. I just thought, you know what, he was playing well for a few days. I was like, he's so overdue, and he just couldn't get it done. Corey Connors won that again, but he finished 5th at Texas, 19th at RBC, and he played well here last year, finishing 10th. So I like the combination of that, and figured, why not? Again, I do think he's overdue for a win, and I wonder what could happen to him if he does win, because he's a talented player. I just think a lot of it's up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last two events have been awesome for Rogers. The ball striking in both was super impressive, and like you said, he played here well last year. Just going back to Højgaard, and you brought it up before, the Punta Cana, the second place there. I do think that's a good event to look at. I think that course is similar. It's a coastal course where wind's going to come into play. It's the same grass type as his Paspalum grass, which we only see a couple times on tour, but is the same as Punta Cana. So one of the guys I bet a bit down the line here actually won that Corrales Punta Cana.
Oh, that's Echeverria guy?
No, Matt Wallace.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
So
what am I thinking about the Echeverria guy? Did he?
Yeah, he won. He won Puerto Rico Open.
Oh,
which again is another similar course. I think kind of a crossover course, which is why I bet.
Well, that's kind of weird. Then why is he getting why are his odds so good?
I don't know.
250 to 1, and he won.
He won.
What?
Yeah,
how long ago?
That was
3 months.
Yeah, not even. March 5th. Yeah, 2 months ago.
Disrespect.
Yeah, I mean he's missed 3 or 4 cuts since.
Yeah.
But
and it is going to be hard to win twice.
But again, the Puerto Rico event and Corrales, I think, looking at guys who have done well at those, because we have such little course history here. We only have 1 year, so I think if you are a course history person looking at those two events, I think there's probably some crossover.
Yeah, that's why we really haven't talked about
course history.
Yeah, it's just
there is
non-existent. By the way, Patrick Rogers, if you keep in mind that this might help him for next week. Now, I don't know what his overall numbers are at Wells Fargo, but his best result ever was at Wells Fargo. Back in 2015, he was runner-up. So maybe this is a good time for Patrick Rogers. Wasn't he in contention for like a couple of days at a major last year? I could have sworn he was in contention, but then he blew up like on the weekend. But I don't remember. I just remember him.
He finished 31st at the U.S. Open.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see what his scores were earlier in the day. So 31st at the Open. So let's see. That would put him at he started 69-68.
Yep. There you go.
And he went 75-74 on the weekend. How about that memory, huh?
He was supposed to be the next big thing coming out of college, right?
Yep. That's what I'm saying. He's talented. It's just not every player can handle the pressure, and he just hasn't been able to do it yet. Okay. Next up, let's talk. Well, we'll go. We're not going to go through them all, but we mentioned Jaeger and McNeely. By the way, McNeely, just to tell you, no top 30s in his last 7.
Yep.
So that's really bad. Now, Benny On, we both kind of like On. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about taking him. I don't know. I'd like better odds, but he's somebody to keep an eye on. 6th at the Texas Open in his last event coming in here.
Right.
And he did win a KFT event last year, so he's on the comeback, and he disappeared for a long time, and now he just has to get that PGA Tour win. So, not a bad idea.
He's putting well, which is crazy because that's always been his issue. He's gained putting in 4 of his last 5 events now, and he's continued to. He's actually struggling a bit off the tee, which is surprising, but the irons have been good. He didn't struggle off the tee at Valera. He was awesome off the tee and on approach. So, I definitely looked at Ben On. Didn't quite get to him.
Hostler 40 to 1. We mentioned that, and I mean, I guess if you want to say that he is trending, because in his last 3 events. He's gotten better each time. 31st at RBC, following it up with a team event, but that's a good week. So he seems to be getting better, and not the worst idea in the world. Again, I just don't like the odds for Bo Hostler at 40 to 1.
He's a guy. Maybe this is unfair and it just sticks in my head, but there's just been a few times where he's been in the mix on Sunday and it's just imploded. So I don't know. He's not a guy I trust in the mix on Sunday.
But this is the perfect golf course for him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll prove me. I mean, he could win at some point here. He's talented. He'll prove me wrong, but he's a guy I need to see him do it once before I consider betting him.
Yeah, the thing with him is until he starts becoming more accurate, on the tee, that he's just got no chance.
Yeah.
So, but again,
this is a good course for him.
It's a wide course. Yeah. Pendrith, Noren, Rye, 45-1. I was thinking about him. I know that you took him.
Yeah.
A few months ago, and
I've
been thinking of taking him recently.
Yeah, he's playing well. He's a shorter, more accuracy player. So I just don't think this is the best course fit for him.
Let's see, Griot and Martin. I was actually going to take Martin.
Oh, cool.
But you took him, and you've taken him before. Mm-hmm. And look, this is a nice story because Ben Martin, if you haven't been around paying attention to the PGA Tour for longer than 5 or 6 years, you'd be thinking, well, what is he, like 25? Oh, this is the beginning of his career? No, Ben Martin began his career 12 years ago, 10 years ago?
At least, yeah.
And he was a young, up-and-coming player. And then it all just fell apart. Again, most likely injuries. So you look at what's happened to him. He was, last year, week 10, 549th in the world. He's now 191st. The last time he ended a year in the top 200 was 2016. He has 4 top 15s in his last 7, 5th at Honda. And by the way, the win on the PGA Tour was all the way back at the Shriners in 2014.
Wow.
So it's a nice story. And you do get the feeling, especially in a field like this, that, you know what? It's going to happen. Maybe it's going to happen. Yeah. And he's going to get a win, and it's going to be one of those really nice stories.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Martin is third in this field in strokes gained total over the last 2 months. It's number 1, Rahm. 2 is Wyndham Clark. 3 is Ben Martin. He's 6th best in this field off the tee over the last 2 months. He's 9th best on approach. Like you said, he has the 3 top 10 finishes over the last couple months. Now, he's not a long hitter, which so this isn't an idea, but he can still win here. He's not so short that he can't win. I think 50-1 is a good number on a guy who's been playing that well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't worry about him missing the cut last year because he's a completely different player.
Yes, exactly.
Griot, we've talked a little bit about him, and I've said before that, I don't know how you were, but early on when he made that incredible transition from KFT, PGA, win-win, it was like, wait a second, what's this? And then that's it. No more wins. But you talk about a guy that's having problems closing on Sundays. Yeah. It's Emiliano Griot. Now he's got to get back into contention, but this, I think, is the perfect week for him to get back into contention.
Yeah.
These are the events that he does seem to be hanging around. I think he's got the talent that if he gets and closes and gets a win, I honestly believe he's a top 50 player. But he's got to get over the hump. He's got some confidence issues. What I like about him this week, he's gotten better his last 4 events. 7th at RBC, played reasonably well last year, so he knows the golf course. And I think this is an opportunity for me to go, okay, I'll pick him. I'll give him a shot this week, and let's see what he can do.
Yeah, Griot's the type of player I like to bet. Good ball striker, usually a bad putter. What I will say about Griot this week, and I didn't know how much to factor in this paspalum because they plan it so infrequently, so the sample size on these guys is so small. But Griot is actually a positive putter on paspalum. He's in the negatives on all their surfaces, big time on Bermuda and big time on POA. But he has, and again, it's probably only like 4 or 6 rounds we're looking at on paspalum for Griot, but he has been a positive putter, and he did gain 2.7 strokes putting at this event last year. So, again, if he can putt decently, the ball striking is usually good enough for him to compete.
Bramlett's 60-1, Higo 60-1. Brandon Wu, who was runner-up last year, is 60-1. Would have been a good play, but his game's off.
Exactly.
So, but again, considering horse for the course, odds are good. That is not a bad idea if you're the type that doesn't really care about how a player's trending.
Yeah. I mean, three bad events in a row for Wu, but the two before that were the 19th at the Players and the 14th at Honda. So you don't have to go back that far to see him playing well.
By the way, Dylan Wu is 100-1. He's made 7 straight cuts. He's got 3 top 30s, including a 10th at the Honda. So another Wu. By the way, he missed a cut here last year, unlike Brandon.
Dylan is 30th in my rankings this week, and Brandon is 31st.
Oh.
Right next to each other.
Okay. Hodges. Now, Hodges is 65-1, and I really thought hard about taking him, and I think throwing a buck on him is a decent idea. If you take a look at Hodges recently, he's in a nice little. It's been okay. He's got 6th at Texas last time out, which is excellent. 14th at Honda, 18th at Genesis over the last several months. He did play the golf course, made the cut. So, again, another one of these long shots that's not a totally bad idea at 65-1.
Yeah, 44th in this field in driving distance over the last year. So, I mean, not super long, but definitely not too short to win this. 5th best in this field on approach over the last year. So he's definitely interesting.
70-1. Shelton was on my list. 4 top 25s this year, 6th Amex, 15th in his last event at Texas. Let's not forget he's got 4 KFT wins, including 2 last year. So he knows how to win.
Yep.
List 70-1. Harry Hall. Just think we got to get a little bit more experience out of Harry Hall, even though he's been playing better recently. 7th at Puerto Rico, 13th at Punta Cana, 28th at Texas. He's 70-1, as is Matt Wallace, one of your picks. So Matt Wallace, you're going to try to get a second win out of Wallace in this week's event.
Yeah, and again, the win, a month or two ago, came at Corrales, which is another coastal course on the same grass type. So I do think there's some crossover there. Wallace missed the cut last time out at Heritage, but prior to that, he had the 7th at Valspar, the win at Corrales, the 28th at Valera. So he's been playing well. He's actually 12th in this field in strokes gained total over the last 2 months. And Wallace 36th in driving distance in this field. So he's definitely a longer hitter. So I like the fit here.
Yeah, we talked about it when he won, that this is a guy that was a couple of years ago. There was talk about him being one of those European Tour players that were going to make a name for himself on the PGA Tour. And matter of fact, let's see, he had the 3 wins in 2018, the 3 pro wins back in 2018. So that was when it was happening. And he has that kind of personality on the golf course that's, the camera likes. He was 3rd in the PGA Championship in 2019, 2nd in the Dubai Desert Classic in 2019, 2nd in the Dubai World Tour Championship in 2018. And 2018, as I mentioned, was when he had the 3 wins. So a lot was looking good for Matt Wallace, but then whatever, it happens, and the last few years just haven't been kind. So now that he's got something going, I think it's going to be very important in a field like this that if Matt Wallace really wants to come back, he has to play well this week.
For sure.
All right. Next up, how do you pronounce this kid's name? Duffy?
I think it's MJ Duffy.
MJ Duffy. So MJ Duffy, first time I'm taking him, but I've circled him on potential picks over the last year, here and there. But definitely I was like, all right, this is the week I'm gonna do it. He started the 2022 season 917th in the world. He's up to 147 now. He's got 4 top 30s in his last 5, 15th last time out at Texas, and he's made 6 straight cuts. I just figured, you know what? Like I said, with a couple other guys, maybe this is the week I'm finally going to take a guy like this and see what I can get out of him.
He was in the mix at the U.S. Open early, right? I think he was at least through round 1.
Oh, he was that. Was that it? Okay,
Yeah.
I think I know. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. That's right. I think that's where I first heard his name. Honestly, that it's pronounced Duffy.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't remember. I remember those names. Who else was doing well that week? There was another guy that we've. Was it Buckley?
Maybe. Yeah, I can pull it up.
Yeah, see what? Because there was a couple of those guys that I remember that were hanging around for a day and a half or 2 days.
Let's see. Round 1. Hadwin. Oh, Joel Damon. Callum Tarrant, my guy.
No, there you go. Tarrant.
Tarrant was one back.
He was one of them.
Yep.
Who else?
And Buckley. Buckley shot a 68.
And Buckley. Okay.
Yep. You're right.
All right. Next up, let's see. Where are we now? We're at the 80 to Putnam's at 80 to 1. Kazire, Griffin, Colin Lipsky 90 to 1. And I'm going to put a buck on Kazire this week. He's not on my picks, but he was 10th at Valspar, 31st at RBC, and he played pretty well there. So Patton's one of those guys that he knows how to win in these types of fields. So I think at 90 to 1, not a bad idea.
Yeah. Lipsky came 6th here last year.
Yes.
Now he's not playing very well coming into this year's event, and he's a shorter hitter. So again, he played well here last year. He could do it, but so I looked at Lipsky, but didn't quite make it to him.
Yeah, there was because beginning of the year there were some opportunities for Lipsky, and then all of a sudden he just hasn't played anywhere near.
He is 131st in this field in driving distance. So he's one of the shortest players in the field.
Can't take advantage of that. But 6th last year. So see, that's why we've said this before. You can look at that and those matchups, but the thing you have to do is sometimes disregard that if the player actually plays well at that golf course. Then all that other stuff doesn't really matter.
Yep. For sure.
By the way, your boy Tarrant is 130 to 1.
He's struggling.
Yeah, what is he like? Got like 8 straight missed cuts or something?
Yeah. He is 4th in this field in driving distance, so he is a bomber.
I have Shez Reavie at 130 to 1. Now, Reavie last year, this was the event that actually got him started on what would turn out to be a nice 7 event stretch. He was 13th in this golf course last year, and then in his preceding 6 events, he had 4 top 30s, and then 5 overall and 7, and it ended with the win at the Barracuda. So maybe the timing is right. 13th here last year, and most importantly, last 2 events, 11th at RBC, 6th at Texas. I think a player who knows how to win in these kind of fields to be 130 to 1, I'll take that every day.
And the irons have been on fire those last 2 events. I actually didn't even look at Reavie, so I hadn't realized this, but he gained 4.5 strokes on approach at Valero, then 6.8 strokes at Heritage. So the irons have been awesome, which I love to see. Now Shez is even shorter than David Lipsky, so he's got that going against him. But like we said, I mean, if
that's probably why he's 130 to 1. You get these situations where sometimes people are so focused on, well, it's got to be a bomber, and if you're not a bomber, if you're a short hitter, no, I'm not going to take him.
Yep, good point. Exactly.
Now you have 130 to 1 shot, Bhatia.
Yep.
So why did you go with Bhatia this week?
Yeah, I mean, so if we can just combine my last 2 picks here, Akshay Bhatia and then Nico Echeverria, because these guys finished 1st and 2nd at the Puerto Rico Open a couple months ago. That's kind of what I'm looking at here as a crossover event. It's another coastal course, past Palm grass, same grass type, and Bhatia won in the Bahamas last year. I believe that was a KFT event, right? Corn Ferry. But another coastal Palm course. So he, for whatever reason, he's had success on these types of courses. And actually, he's 10th in this field in strokes gained total over the last 2 months. So he comes in playing well. So I really like him at 130. And then Nico, just for a guy who won 2 months ago in a field this bad, to be able to get him at 200 to 250 to 1, I think that's worth a buck or two.
Yeah. So Bhatia.
Yep.
There seems to be a player that people believe has a really nice upside. Are you hearing that too?
Yeah, I mean, he's a young kid. He makes a ton of birdies. It's just he makes too many bogeys usually, but on a course like this, there's not a ton of trouble here. I think if he can avoid big numbers, I think he can make enough birdies to be in the mix.
Okay, let's see. Jimmy Walker is another one of my long shot picks at 150 to 1. And I didn't have really anybody initially over 100 to 1. So I said, all right, I have to pick somebody. And it was down to Walker. Oh, and this was just because of kind of the, trying to look more of the international combination of taking Goya, because Goya, who's 429th in the world, has made 7 of his last 8 cuts and was 11th at Puerto Rico. Okay. So I figured for a guy that his odds were 180 to 1.
Yep.
I was thinking I was like, all right, well, I got 2 guys because I got to see who you're taking, and if you happen to take one of those guys, I would have taken the other. You didn't take either one, so I took Walker. But I'll throw a buck on Goya just in case. But anyway, Walker, I said, why not? I got to take somebody. He's got back-to-back top 25s, something he has not done in a while. He had a good stretch, I believe, early last year where he had, I think, 3 good events in a row, a couple top 25s sandwiched in between something. But, and we know he's getting older. So I don't know. I mean, nobody knows at this stage of his career what he's got left in his tank. But if he has something left in his tank, then I think we'll find out on Thursday. I think if he gets off to a good start, he's got a chance.
Yeah, I could see it for sure.
All right. And anybody else that caught your eye?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because, as you mentioned the Puerto Rico Open again. I just brought up the leaderboard, and Nate Lashley finished 3rd in that event.
Nate Lashley. Didn't you pick him like a month ago?
Yeah, I've bet him a couple times this year, I think. He came 11th at the Mexico Open last year, and he's playing pretty well coming in. Like he's been gaining on approach in most of his starts. He's 110 to 1, so not an official pick for me, I guess, but I might end up adding him to my card.
Hey man, yeah, throw a buck on him. And he's the one that has that really good story, right? Didn't he have like one of those like journeyman type stories, I believe?
Could be. He's definitely been around.
Did he win a few years ago?
I remember him being in the mix. He was in the mix at Pebble a couple of years back. Does he have any wins? Yes, he won the Rocket Mortgage. That's right, 2019.
Then that was it. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was 2019.
Yep.
And just take a look at what his world ranking was the year before, 477. So he went from 477 to a win in 88th, and that's why it was such a big deal. So yeah, there was something going on. I think also maybe in his personal life. I think.
Yeah.
It was a nice story, great story.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at
his career results here. He has 9 career top 10 finishes. 3 of them are at the Puerto Rico Open, and 1 of them's at Corrales. So, 4 of his 9 top 10s are at courses like this one. And again, he came 11th here last year. So he seems like another guy who likes this type of golf course.
And another guy that I put in that over 500 to 1, over 100 to 1, I was thinking about was Carson Young. And then because he finished 19th at RBC and 3rd at Puerto Rico.
Yes. Yep.
So, and his odds are pretty big. I didn't take him, but yeah, I was thinking about that. And I remember at RBC because I had Cameron.
Yep.
And I remember seeing his name on the board going, I
Yep.
hate it when these guys' names are similar.
Yep.
And they're in the same event, and I see it, and I see the last name, and I'm thinking right away it's my guy, and it's not.
Yep.
And it's
Yeah,
so annoying.
Carson beat Cam at the RBC.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and we didn't talk about it because we did not do a show last week, but boy, Jordan Spieth, what in the, do you think?
How was he good at that course?
What was that, RBC?
That's my question. That's the last course I would think he'd be good at.
I know. We talked about that. And then he wins and almost wins again.
Yep.
But I'm thinking, I don't know, because he mentioned about being tired, but the schedule.
Yep.
And it was overtime. And he's not a choker, but he had 2 excellent chances to win that. And to me, the type of shots they was either fatigue or something else, because really all he had to do was just hit the ball a little bit harder. I mean, what are you worried about? And he just couldn't do it. And
I know the putt on the first playoff hole. He said he hit it exactly where he wanted to, and he still says, I think he said 8 times out of 10 that putt would have taken a slight left turn.
The first time.
The
second one was all about he just didn't hit it hard enough.
Agreed. Yep.
It's like, come on, man, what are you doing?
Yep. So one more thing as we start to look ahead to the PGA Championship. I have a buddy who works at Oak Hill, so I texted him a couple days ago, just trying to start to get some intel. I said, who's been there, who's been practicing, who's been looking good. The one name he gave me was Matt Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
He's 35-1 last I checked.
That's not a bad idea.
I'll definitely text my buddy again though before our PGA Championship.
35-1. That's good.
Yeah. I'll see if I can get any more inside info before we make our PGA Championship.
You got to figure out too. Well, that's right. It's a home base for you. I mean, is there any way at all for you to do it on location, like where you'll be able to be seen on location? Like, hey, there's Jared, and you can tell he's on location.
I mean, I'll take some pictures and I'll post them on Twitter. I don't know.
I mean, it's not like we're doubting you. It's just it's just cool to have.
No, I don't know. I just don't know how good the reception would be. My connection trying to do.
Let's check it out on Thursday.
I think Friday night maybe we'll do something once I'm back home.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. We'll do a live. We'll take a look at the odds, and I haven't looked at the where do you win come from, that kind of thing compared to the Masters, but it's not like the Masters because it's not the same golf course every year. So, you can come from behind. Look, Masters is worse than anywhere when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm not saying you should be coming from behind in any major, but
JT came from way back at the PGA last year.
There you go. So so by the time we talk on a Friday night, we'll unless somebody's way ahead, we'll have an opportunity to hopefully go over a nice, because that leaderboard at the Masters was looking awfully good for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it turned out to be the way that it was. So that's a good one. I like that. Fitzpatrick, if he's still 35-1, I'll put money on him right now.
Yep.
And by the way, you have Fitzpatrick, of course, on your fantasy team. And you probably thought you were ahead of me a lot more than you were when you probably, because I did too. And then I totally forgot about myself, about, of course, not just the live, but the impact of Koepka and Mickelson finishing second at the Masters.
That's right.
And all those points. That was 1,200 points. And you got 1,000 for winning with Rahm. So, are you thinking about changing your live team?
Maybe. I got to look at it. I'm not,
because you have Oosthuizen and Kokrak.
All right,
those are two guys that are questionable.
Probably should dump those guys.
Cameron Smith up has done nothing, but you're not moving him. You're not moving Answer.
Yep.
And then I have Gooch and Koepka winning the last 2 events. And it was nice to see Mickelson also play well last week. So maybe he'll start to pick things up. And then I have Neiman and Mito. And then Jan, she's got to make some changes there. She's got DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson. She's not going to move him. Kevin Na, Bubba Watson is doing nothing. And Paul Casey. Does he have some injury issues?
Probably. He always does.
By the way, what did you think about my move to drop Keith Mitchell for Taylor Moore?
I was a little surprised, honestly. I know Keith hasn't played well the past month or so, but before that, he was awesome. Taylor Moore continues to play well, though, too. Both those guys were in the mix last week. I don't know if you saw that at all.
No.
But
of course not.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mitchell was with Sungjae. I think Sungjae kind of carried that team. But
actually,
Taylor Moore,
I looked at it last year, and if you look at it, Mitchell actually got off to a good start last year.
Did he?
And it's starting to look very similar to what happened last year.
Well,
he got off to a good start.
He's definitely a Bermuda guy, so I think Florida swing is when he tends to play his best golf. But he was good on the West Coast this year, so.
And you have Horschel, Cage, Lee, and Aaron Wise on your bench. Those are your bench PGA Tour players.
Yeah, I could.
None of those guys are playing well.
I could dump Wise because he took a leave of absence for mental health issues. So I could probably. I'm not sure.
There had to be something going on there.
I'm not sure when he's going to be back, so I could probably swap him out for someone.
And your boy Cameron Davis is starting to come around now.
He is. I was happy to see that. I'm sure he'll be on my picks here coming up over the next month or two. Yeah, he's playing better.
And I'm not happy with the way Seamus Power's been playing. He's the one I'm the most disappointed with. But I figured, I kept Willett instead of Mitchell because of the majors.
Yep.
I just figured, you know what? He's starting to play better. I trust him a little bit more than I would with Mitchell. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. Next week's going to be a lot better.
Yes.
So we're going to have it's an elevated event. So everybody's playing. So can't wait. And what's after that? Is the PGA Tour 2 weeks after that?
Yes. It's what is it? It's not John Deere after Wells Fargo.
Oh, but it's one of those events.
Byron Nelson. So back to Texas, and then it's PGA Championship.
Well, Spieth probably play there.
Yes. Yep.
I wonder if Scheffler will play there.
Burns won that last year, right? I think Burns beat Scheffler. Was that a playoff?
Was it? Okay.
So, yeah.
That would be nice if they could play again. Yeah, definitely it'd be better than Mexico.
Yes.
So, no doubt about it. So, looking forward to that. Again, we'll do a live. As a matter of fact, we may have that PGA Championship show. It could be that we'll do a live show to promote it, or we might actually do a live show on that Friday. So, because we'll have to figure out if we know a specific time, of course, to give you guys enough notice. But again, that'll be a cool opportunity to get into, because you'll be there, man. So you're gonna be able to have all the inside scoop on who's playing well and all that other stuff, and you'll be able to hear things that we can't.
Yeah, I'm planning to follow 2 groups on that Friday, so I'm gonna pick a morning.
Max Homa.
Yeah, Homa's on the list. Morikawa. Well, I mean, we'll see how the groups shake out, right? I gotta pick my favorite group in the morning, pick my favorite group in the afternoon. So I'll at least have good intel on 6 players or whatever.
You better pick the right groups.
Right. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they're good groups. That'd be a bummer if you got 5 guys you wanted to follow and they're all separated.
Right. Exactly.
At different times, all over the place. Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be.
No Tiger, which stinks.
Really?
I mean, I would. He just had the surgery. I would highly doubt he's ready.
That guy's having surgery every couple of months now. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
All right, we'll see how it goes. Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. This was it. What are you going to do? It's a couple of weeks, but we're charging on. Next week is going to be a good one to get us going again. Jared, appreciate it. Enjoy the NFL draft. I know you're going.
Not going to the draft, but
well, you're going to be in the area though, aren't you?
We're going away as a company.
Oh, you're going somewhere else?
Yeah. Yep.
So you're going to be able to all see it together then?
Yeah, so we'll be watching on TV, but we'll all be watching together, and we'll have a ton of content on Draft Sharks, by the way, too. I'm actually going to be doing like instant projections for all these rookies as they
Cool.
land, so we'll be able to see like right away where they land in our rankings for the year.
Yeah, and we'll be scheduling some shows real soon.
Yep, it's about that time.
And matter of fact, even after the draft, we should probably do something like early, kind of just like you're doing.
Yep.
Take some of that information that you're going to be dishing out, and we'll get you on video to talk about it. So, all right, man. Appreciate your time as always, Jared. We'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, bye, Greg.